Hi everyone, my name is Sanju and today I'll be discussing some course. We'll be covering the basics of variables, arrays, functions, objects and loops in JavaScript. These concepts form the foundation for any full stack development. So let's get started. Variables. A variable in JavaScript is like a container that stores data values. There are three main ways to declare a variable: where, let, and const. Now, where is the older model and has some limitations. For instance, it does not have block level scope, which can lead to unexpected results in more complex code. On the other hand, let was introduced to provide block level scope, meaning it's limited to the specific block of code where it's declared. Finally, const is used when you want a value that does not change once it's assigned, like a constant. For example, if you have a variable for a country's name or continent that won't change, then you will use const. Understanding these type of variables is crucial when organizing your data efficiently. Now let's talk about arrays. An array is like a list or a collection where you can store multiple values in a single variable. For example, imagine you are trying to store a list of cities in a single variable rather than creating individual variables for each city. Arrays make this process much easier. The cool thing about arrays is that you can access any item in the list by its position, which we call the index. The first item is at index 0, the second item is at index 1, and so on. Arrays are useful when you need to manage multiple data points efficiently, and you can easily add, remove, or modify elements in them. Moving on to functions. A function is essentially a block of code that performs a specific task. You can think of it as a mission. You give it inputs, it processes those inputs, and then it gives you an output. For instance, imagine you want to calculate the total cost of items in a shopping cart. Instead of writing the same code over and over, you can wrap that logic into a function and simply call it whenever you need to calculate the total cost. Functions also allow you to pass values into them, called parameters, and they can return values after performing their task. It's a great way to keep your code organized, clean, and reusable. By using functions, you avoid repeating yourself and make your code easier to maintain. Next up are objects. Objects in JavaScript are used to represent real world entities, and they contain properties that describe those entities. For instance, let's say you want to store information about a city like name, population, and country. Instead of using multiple variables, you can group all of this data into an object. Each piece of data in an object is called a property, and each property has a value. What's really powerful about objects is that they can also have functions inside them, which are called methods. So not only can an object store data, but it can also perform actions related to that data. Objects are a fundamental part of JavaScript, and they can help you for the structure of your code in a way that makes it easy to manage complex data. Finally, let's talk about loops. Loops are used to repeat a block of code multiple times. Imagine you have an array of cities and you want to print each city's name. Instead of writing code to print each one individually, you can use a loop to automate the process. There are different types of loops in JavaScript, like the for loop, which repeats code a certain number of times, and the while loop, which repeats as long as a certain condition is true. Using loops is crucial when you are working with large datasets or when you need to perform repetitive tasks efficiently. This saves time and reduces chance of errors since you don't have to manually write the lines of code over and over. And that's a wrap on these key JavaScript concepts. Today we have covered variables, arrays, functions, objects, and loops. These are foundational tools you will use constantly in full stack development. Understanding them will help you write more efficient and effective code. Thank you so much for watching this video and feel free to drop any question you have in the comments. See you next time.